Kiwi FM Christmas party. You up like Santa.
Kiwi FM.
A little something for the weekend with Sam Hunt.
Sam Hunt is back. He's joining us. It's been a couple of weeks. Hey, Sam.
Good morning, Wemo. Good morning.
Yes, apologies. I was away last week.
You were up holidaying somewhere, weren't you?
I was, yeah.
Good. And you had a good time?
I did. No shags on the bonnet of the car this time, though.
Would I hope you maybe down on the beach? Well, yeah, hey, I was going to ask you, is that the nice lady who introduces my thing there with the Kokako?
Yeah.
Is she the same one who was reading about then I just heard on the phone, down the phone about the Christmas party?
That's correct, yes.
That's Angelina.
She's got a potty mouth.
Did she good on her. Good on her. Hey, one thing I wanted to yeah, no, she sounds lovely. So do you, Whammo. Of course, you sound great. You sound like shit. Yeah, you sound good.
No, I deserve that, having set the tone very low straight away as soon as we...
Now, I want to raise the tone.
Yeah.
Of course, with the Pike Stream, they keep on referring to the Pike River. The Pike River, in fact, is in South Westland. Strange that the actual waterway that the dam is built on, is my understanding and knowledge of, is the Pike Stream.
Oh, there you go.
And that in turn flows into Big River, which in turn flows into the Grey River.
Oh, that's important to know, I reckon.
Well, I think I don't know this, but I wonder when they formed the company that they thought the Pike River mine sounded more macho than the Pike Stream.
I think it's right, or creek,
Yeah.
Creek, probably not good. River. Yeah, it sounds beefy.
In the charts, it's the Pike Stream, but that's not what I want to say. What I do want to say, in terms of another disaster back in 1879. Just in tribute, in tribute to everyone down there. Greymouth, with the cups are rattling on the saucers. This is a poem that James K. Baxter wrote. A beautiful little poem. I've always loved it. It's called On Reading Yevtushenko, the Russian poet. Xenia Yevtushenko. Listen to this. When the mine exploded at Kaitangata, trucks flew out as if from the barrel of a gun, trucks and truckers, bodies of men, also my father told me. And far down in those dark passages they heard faintly the waves of a sea hammer above their heads. My father's hands are corded with swollen veins, but my hands are thinner and my thoughts are cold. Zena Yevtushenko, they are covered with black dust. Reading you, I remember our own stranded revolution, 1935. The body of our Adam was dismembered by statisticians. I would like to meet you quietly in a cafe where hobos and freckled girls drink, talk, not to pump you, only to revalue in your company explosions, waves of the sea. The powerful poem.
Yeah.
Baxter came, of course, from just up the line, up the coast, from Kaitangata, which is a always powerful poem. So I wanted to say that, and sort of go from death to birth, and I'll tell you a little story behind this, Wemo.
Okay.
First of all, I should say, without going into detail at the stage, because it's still happening, but a birth is close to our house's heart. Birth's going to take place, hopefully another 10-toed, 10-fingered miracle.
Wow. Wow.
What's happened, but
okay.
Yeah, and that's all going well. Any old time. And I'm pacing around like an old lion.
Golly.
And anyway, it's not my baby, but well, not directly. And it's strange. I was pacing around thinking about it all, and I just quite instinctively picked up one of my many Pablo Neruda volumes, just flipped open on a page, as sometimes it's good to do, and I came across this poem. Now, I thought I knew Neruda's work pretty well, and I thought I knew this particular volume called Fully Empowered. I thought I knew that pretty well. It's travelled around with me. I've often got it there. One time it stopped a bloke who went and, this is a long story, but the book was actually a coat and stopped me getting wounded. But that's not the story. I thought I knew that book pretty well.
Well, you weren't shot at all,
No,
were
I
you?
wasn't shot. No, it was sort of more stabbed. But the book stopped it. It was all
Like a sheriff's badge.
a bit like a sheriff's badge, you know. That's Neruda. That's what he is. He's a sheriff's badge.
Yeah.
And I came across this poem which has been there the whole time. Every time I'd open the book, it must have been looking at me saying, hey, have a look at this. And I never found it until yesterday, day before yesterday. So I'd like to tell it to you. It's called Births, and obviously it's a translation. The Spanish, which he wrote it in, is, excuse my Spanish, is something like Los Nacimientos, which we'll have to go for births. We will never have a memory of dying. We are so patient about our being, noting down numbers, days, years and months, hair, and the mouths we kiss. And that moment of dying we let pass without a note. We leave it to others as memory, or we leave it simply to water, to air, to time. Nor do we even keep the memory of being born, although to come into being was tumultuous and new, and now you don't remember a single detail and haven't kept even a trace of your first light. It's well known that we are born. It's well known that in the room or in the wood, in the shelter in the fisherman's quarter, or in the rustling cane fields, there is a quite unusual silence, a grave and wooden moment as a woman prepares to give birth. It's well known that we were all born, but of that abrupt translation from not being to existing, to having hands, to seeing, to having eyes, to eating and weeping and overflowing and loving and loving and suffering, of that transition, that quivering of an electric presence, raising up one body more like a living cup, and of that woman left empty, the mother who was left there in her blood and her lacerated fullness, and its end, and its beginning, and disorder, tumbling the dice, the floor, the covers, till everything comes together and adds one knot more to the thread of life. Nothing remains in your memory of the savage sea which summoned up a wave and plucked a shrouded apple from the tree. The only thing you remember is your life. That's not a bad poem to find, eh?
Yeah, that's extraordinary.
Isn't he beautiful?
Yeah.
Pablo Neruda, yeah.
And
again,
how's
remembering the old thing that Ezra Pound once said, that poetry is the language which cannot be translated.
Yeah.
And I know how hard it is. That particular fellow who did that translation is an American poet. I think he's American. He's got a very Scottish name. His name's Alistair Reid. He may be Scottish. He may be playing the bagpipes as we're talking. But he's a bloody good translator, and as far as I'm concerned, he manages to make the translation sing off the page.
And you know what that evoked for me? It was like something, you could imagine a birth in the 1800s in a lonely farmhouse somewhere, you know, and and it's hot and it's just full on and it's screaming and, you know, it's just that intense kind of like this amazing explosion into life.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And I love those lines. It's well known that in the room or in the wood or in the shelter or in the fisherman's quarter or in the rustling cane fields and so on. Beautiful. Lovely stuff. So more than a little something for the weekend, maybe a couple pretty bloody good ones. A bit of Baxter and a bit of I'll be criticised for being all male. I better get back onto the females. All women, any woman listening to this program, all three of you, would you all please send your poems in? Keep it all balanced. Well, some good poems happening out there.
Yeah. It was a good luck to all involved.
Oh, well, look, thank you.
Yeah.
I've got my metaphorically speaking, I've got my sleeves rolled up and I've got the whole water happening.
Yeah. And then it's off to the pub.
When has no, it's not happening here actually.
No.
There's a little distance involved, so
Right.
I'm not physically involved with the birth, but I'm certainly emotionally deeply involved with the birth, and it's a nerve-wracking time. You know, it's much worse than going to the dentist, and I'm only a male. Hey, good Waymo, you have a good weekend, and I hope the listeners do too.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. We'll talk next week.
Thank you, Waymo.
See ya.
That was a little something for the weekend with Sam Hunt, only on Kiwi.